All right, guys, thank you so incredibly much for being here with me. So excited to go over this. Just got back from an amazing trip with my family in Las Vegas. One of my dad's favorite places to be, one of my stepdad's favorite places to be, and the ladies like to go too. So we had a great time. Here's what I know. Life is short. Enjoy every moment. Got a lot of health issues going on with some of my family, and I trying to make sure that I sort of reposition myself, reprioritize towards really being there for them, being in the moment, being clear about who I need to be. It kind of lends itself into a big part of today's conversation, today's training. People support what they create. So often have been known to get in my head and be about me, kind of shut down, kind of be the introvert, if you will. And it's really, really important for me to make sure that I'm here, not only in the sense for my family, when I was in Las Vegas and so on, to really be listening, helping out, doing these things, but also to be here for you. And I want to make sure, as you know, I hope you know, and I hope you feel it, that this is all about our co-creative journey. And it's the co-creation piece that lends itself to today's topic. People support what they create. I say that everything is a co-creation. Once we get aligned with that, watch out, world. Because here's what I know. People are like, wow, yeah, I do want that. Yeah, wow, you really listen. Wow, I feel supported, helped, comforted, whatever that would be. But it's because we're really explicit about some things that we're going to go over today. And I kind of want to put the context on this before we get into it. These are 7 critical areas that you want to dial in and assure you have in play if you want to step into being your best self, to really go after who you can be, to feel the vibrance, the zest, the love of life, but also to be the person that you probably aspire to be, that you really think about. If I was going to be the very best version of me, but the best version of me would have these qualities, these characteristics, these traits. So that all being said, let's go ahead and jump right into today's training. We have a lot to cover. I know we have 60 minutes of beautiful time together. So here we go. Very first step, as we know, how does this work? Big picture. We're going to start with a perspective. Why is it important for us to be co-creative, to live into that theme of people support what they create? Kind of set the stage for that. Then we'll go right into training, where we work through the 7 parts of the framework. Then we dive right into the tactics. So you have your marching orders. So you can take at least one thing and put it in your life and our business. So you'll see some threads of business, entrepreneurialism, small business, being the best leader we can be. These kinds of threads of things will happen in our beautiful time together. And then, of course, we want to make sure, how do we get the most of our time together? So in the context for this, make sure you have no distractions. Make sure any buzzers, beepers, whatever's going on, turned off. Because we're going to own this time together. I always like to reflect on that beautiful book by Cal Newport, Deep Work. And his new book, Digital Minimalism, that say, you know what? Today's human experience robs itself of the deeper emotive connection for really owning what's going on. To give yourself that deeper emotive connection without the interruption that pulls our thoughts out. And it takes our body time to get back into the thought process once it's been interrupted. You follow? So it's really critical as we go through this work today. If you want the best experience, that you're dialing in distractions and taking notes, of course. Star any questions. We have our monthly Zoom roundtable Q&A. We have 2 of them a month, making sure I'm taking care as we moved into 2019. So today we'll have that from 1:30 until whenever it ends. I'm just here for you, and I know you know that. Then, of course, be open and vulnerable. We want to assure, as we go through this together, that whatever shows up for you, you can share. You can, I guess, think of it like this. We're in a safe zone here. I don't tolerate negative, neutral energy. Unless it's something that you're stressed out about, you want to share that. But towards others, I don't tolerate that. I don't tolerate, blame, excuse, denial, these kind of things. Again, unless it's part of your journey, you need to get it out of you so we can move towards an ambition, but not towards others. We want to keep this an open, safe zone. So the more open and vulnerable people get, typically the more growth they have. So often people, when I'm coaching them, will say, oh, I don't know if I should share this. And I'm like, you share it. At least here it's a safe zone. And here's what I know. When people have shared things like that, they've grown. It's been a real growth catalyst. Because this may be the only place you can share something like that. You follow? So I love being here with you. Thank you so much for rocking this out with me today. Oh, it's such an honor to be back after a beautiful trip, to be back in front of the camera, to be talking to you, to be helping you, to support you, to love on you, to challenge you. Yep, that's the coach in me. And to champion you on, to be your cheerleader, to really go and celebrate the things that you're doing, the forward motion you're making in your life, maybe in your business, whatever that would be. Next, sure you participate. Now, there's a little bit of an issue here with no distractions and participation. So what I'll try to do here is assure there's little blocks of time where I'm like, okay, go ahead and comment. Go ahead and write something. Take a moment so that we don't have this, well, how am I supposed to pay attention and participate? And there's a distraction there. So whatever it is for you, whatever works best for you. I know for me, when I go into training, I'm in full-on let me learn mode, or I'm in full-on let me participate mode, and I'll go back and rewatch the replays and learn. So I'll get the periphery, but I'll support the people in there. Other times I'm in just to learn. You won't even see me in the chat log. Whatever that is for you, that's fine. I'm going to try to facilitate a couple spots throughout our training where you can share, and that'll give you that time to participate without hopefully being a distraction. Does that all make sense? I hope so. And of course, no, we're all here for you. The beautiful part about our community is this. We love the human spirit. We love to champion you on. We love to take care of you. We love to just own things with you. To be like, hey, you know what? You got knocked down a little bit. Let me be the hand that pulls you up. And that, it just gives me chills talking about it. That's really been what's been moving this thing forward for us over the last, this is like our 22nd month. Blown away, my peeps. Love what we're doing here. So let's jump into our perspective keepers. Our first step is, as you may know, is our life assessment. So if you don't have the life assessment, you can get it or just follow along. You don't actually have to get it because I'll be going over it all with you. Just get out your notes or your computer or whatever it is for you and just write down your ratings, and we'll jump in and make sure this rolls for you, and we're keeping perspective with everything so that we have the fuel, the emotional catalyst to really go after today's topic. I always like to think that perspective is like, okay, here's the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. And then we kind of move into the training to really support the movement down right to the tactics of what we need to put in play in our life right now. The moment this training is complete. You follow? All right, let's do it. So the very first thing we want to review, the very first statement in the life assessment, I am where I thought I'd be at this point in my life. Overall, I'm living into the very best version of myself for me, those I love and care for, and the world. And it looks like my screen's a little funky, so let me fix that. Go ahead and think that through. And this is what you do when you have a one-man show. We go in, we fix what we got. So go ahead and think that through. And let me pop this picture so it's, I don't know why it does this, but it does it every so often. So are you at this point, and the filming of this is in April of 2019, are you at the point in your life that you thought you'd be? And are you living into the best version of yourself for you, those you love and care for, and the world? What's showing up there for you? So give yourself a rating 0, not at all, I'm not flowing along with whatever I'm trying to go after, to 10, crushing it. What does that look like for you? So the next topic, take the best self piece, moves that forward, my best self. Overall, I feel healthy, happy, and energized. My energy levels are consistent throughout the day, and I even sustain into the evenings until I wind down for bed. So what we're looking for here, this is very much a high performance topic. We're looking for an energy level like this, and then just dip at night. Not this, bouncing from Sugar Rush to, the valley, Sugar Rush, like this. And I can tell you that I used to be this guy, and now it's this. And it's really, really critical. If that's not happening for you, that we're owning that for you. So if that is happening for you, be open and honest. 0, yeah, no, this doesn't, I'm not my scene at all. 10, crushing it. I feel energized throughout the day. I got the emotional enthusiasm, zest, verve, vibrance in life. And about, for me, it's about 9 o'clock. I'm like, well, shutdown time. And I'm ready to sleep, and I sleep well. More often than not. for me. I can't think of the last time that I didn't sleep well. Maybe when I partied a little too hard, and it wasn't in Vegas, I was really careful about that. But really owning that. So what is this for you? 0, not at all, 10, owning it. And if it's below an 8, what's one thing you can do to level that up? You got it? Hope so. If you need any help, let me know. Just pop a note in the chat log or just bring it into our monthly Zoom roundtable. We'll make sure we're dialing in. Because some people, they're running into energy issues. Sometimes it's insomnia. Sometimes it's things, stress, overwhelm, these kind of things that are hindering them from sleeping well or being their best self. When there's just a lot of things we can do to help you. Want to make sure I'm taking care of you. Next, my relationships. I work diligently to create, build, and maintain great relationships with those around me. I feel I'm a good role model for my loved ones and those close to me and the world. I consistently listen well, show compassion for myself and others, and communicate my thoughts and feelings. I know that's a tall order. Sometimes people like to rate them individually. But what I'm looking for from you is just an overall rating with how well you feel in general. So for me, yeah, that's good. I feel really, really good here, like an 8 or 9. I did rate myself before we started to assure that I dialed this in, and I'll reflect those ratings a little bit. But I just want to make sure you got this dialed in. Any part in here, anybody in particular in your life where you're like, you know what? I need to reach out to them, I need to call them, I need to text them, I need to email, whatever that is, to just rekindle, connect, grow that relationship. Here's what I know. A lot of people that I've coached have either gone out and connected with people who were no longer here, like literally a week later, or they haven't. And 2 people that I have coached are having a regret around that, trying to bring peace to it, their past. But the fact that should have called, should have connected. That person left us. I didn't get to say, you know, nice goodbye, or just to say, connect with them and share some things that I, especially in coaching, we bring up things, you know, in the courage session that I should have just shared so that I could be at peace with myself and with our relationship. I don't know what that is for you, but I just want to make sure that we're supporting you and serving you here. So what is it for you? Is there anything there? And what's your rating? So if you feel like participating, go ahead and share your rating so far. Give you that window of time. Okay, cool. Participation time is over. Just for those of you that are like, okay, I don't want to be distracted with participation. Owning it. Next up is stress, overwhelm, and clarity. And these terms, when I built this assessment, were the things that just came up. Stress and overwhelm, like clarity, stress and overwhelm, they're all interrelated. Stress and overwhelm can be reduced or even removed with ultra levels of clarity. You follow? I remember coaching a gal in the Netherlands, and she is just telling me, Char, I'm almost there, but I feel so stressed and overwhelmed, but I don't really know why. And once we got clear on who she wanted to be when she got home, she needed to step out of work mode and be a parent and a wife. That helped her immensely remove the stress of not being a good wife or a good parent. And the overwhelm of the fact that, oh my gosh, I don't know who I'm supposed to be, so I'm going to go back into work. And I feel like I'm buried in all these different realms of my life. I don't know if that resonates with you, but it has with a lot of people that I've coached. So here's what we're going to rate towards. I have great stress management practices in my life. When I do get stressed, I know exactly what to do to reduce or remove it from my life. I typically do not feel overwhelmed or distracted because I have clarity of who I am and what I should be doing every day. Oh, can you imagine? I hope you have this. I don't feel overwhelmed because I know who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing every day. What does that feel like for you? Yeah, what do you think? How are you doing in this realm? So far in 2019, have you felt a lot of stress? Have you been handling it well? I have these different tiers of how I handle stress. When I feel a little bit of stress, boom, I get my headset on and I go for a walk. When I feel a lot of stress, like really disabling amount of stress, then it's, I gotta go, I gotta leave, I gotta get to the beach and reset, recharge, rejuvenate. Sometimes I'll pack a run in there, I'll go work out, whatever that is, but I know what those things are and I do them. And I don't like, oh, I know that I should do that, but I really got this done. No, I do it. And that's a huge change for me. I kind of thank Brendan Bouchard for that. Really going through high performance for me was like, no, you take action. That allows you not to be disabled the rest of your day. You don't have bad days anymore. You have bad moments. You follow? Oh, this is so good. Next up is my career and mission. The work I do in the world is meaningful to me. I believe I'm consistent about living in alignment with what is the best use of me, my passions, and my talents. So, for you, are you still in alignment with this? Is this showing up for you? Is the work you do, and typically to get compensated, still meaningful to you? Do you believe you're consistent about living in alignment with what the best use of you is, with your talents, gifts, whatever you want to call it right now, and your passions and talents? You know, is that really happening for you? 0, you know what? Something's got to change. I am way out of alignment. 10, I am crushing it. I would challenge you, if you rate yourself a 10, to think about how you could rate yourself even higher. My hobbies and my passions. I know and understand the importance of having hobbies to help me continually connect with my creative and self-expressive side. I'm consistent about nurturing my hobbies and passions and really owning that on an enduring basis. So here's what we know. So many times when we're in creative self-expressive mode, it could be working on crafts, could be playing, like I do, the guitar, or off the camera over here, could be gardening, whatever that would be. That's the time where the thoughts come in, the creative ambitions and the things come to us, right? And that's a really important part of the human experience. So I just want to make sure you're owning this. So where are you at here? 0, not at all. 10, crushing it. And if it's below an 8, what is it for you that needs to shift to just level that up one? So often people reflect on the fact that they just need a little bit more time allocated, I should say, to have hobby time, to go after their passions. Even if they're not doing anything, they're thinking about it. Just sitting there going, okay, so if I play the guitar, here's what I'm going to try to aim for. I want to get this sound. I want to learn this lick. I want to learn this riff. And you think about it. And then you think about, and I would challenge you to do this, a little part of our topic today, how you want to feel when you're going after it, right? Oh, so gold. Love being here with you. My life's ambitions. This ties right into today's topic, people support what they create. If I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. I've lived a life where I've paid attention to and taken action on my life's ambitions. At least once a year, I reevaluate my life's ambitions and schedule time for them. Take a moment with this one. Take a moment with this one. What is that for you? If I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. Big part of our high performance conversation is assuring we have these things dialed in. A big part of my personal purpose is assuring you're living your life with clarity, engagement, joy, and you're going towards your life's ambitions. But the pre-qualification is that you have life's ambitions. Some people reflect on that as a bucket list. They'll be like, here are the things that I want to assure I achieve while I have my health and I'm moving through life along with my responsibilities. They could be your dreams, your ambitions, right? These kinds of things. Especially if you talk about high performance, the productivity planner, that one-page productivity plan even. The dreams and ambitions are at the top. Even if we can't move forward with them in a day, we think about them. And then we handle our priorities, right? So what is it here for you? 0, yeah, don't even have life ambitions. I don't even know what I want to do. I'm going to live a life full of regret down the road. 10, I got this dialed in. And again, if it's below an 8, what's going to shift for you? What's the change? You follow? Oh, I'm so excited for you. We get this dialed in, especially now as we enter in the second quarter of 2019. Huge shift. Huge. It's like, falling off course here. Let's course correct. Bring it back. Love this. So that is the life assessment. Let's dive in and get tactical now with the wheel of perspective. And if you don't have that on hand, that's totally cool. I think you can get it at bit.ly/wheel, the number 4, the letter U. And I have a page where you can download the PDF, but you don't have to have it. All we're doing is going through 10 areas that are the more tactical things that help us feel, be, and even look our best. Cool? Here we go. 10 need them over sleep. So in the last week, 0 to 10, how well have you done at sleeping, getting good quality rest, 7 to 9 hours a night? For me, that's been a 9. Even in Vegas, I came back and I was a little sleep deprived just because of the transition and all that. So I made it a point, no alarms on yesterday, and owned sleeping in, just getting my body's sleep bank rebuilt. I wasn't that far off because I kept sleep at a priority, but I wanted to make sure I owned it for you in this moment today, and I knew sleep was a very critical part of that. Next, hydration. How have you been doing there in the last week? For me, been a 9. Been really owning that. Even when I was out in Vegas, where I always say it's a dry heat, right? I have to double up my hydration, getting these water bottles, got them going, had that consistently moving through. And again, hydration from the way we talk about it in high performance is drinking water. Not soda, not beers, not wine, not coffee, just water. So do you have a water bottle like I have right here? Bring in the joy and honor the struggle this day with you. And are you hydrating frequently? I always found that if I have water by me, it happens naturally. I'm just like, yeah, got it. So that was my kicker. That was my shift in behavior, is to always have water by me as I went into my work to really thin down and be the man I am. Love being here with you. I hope you can sense how excited I am for us. This is really, really critical. Owning this time together. Just love getting chills just telling you. Love being here in this moment with you. Just going after health, wealth, and happiness as we step into this beautiful year and we're owning it together. Next up is eating. Have you been eating, I will say 90% nutrient rich? Meaning not beige foods particularly, like croissants, turnovers, those kind of things, but really eating more veggies, fruits, nuts, legumes, lean proteins more often than the others. So for me, it's a 9 here as well. Even with all the temptation in Vegas, with all the good food, still stuck to eating really, really, really well. And making sure I had green juices and these kind of things. Kind of scouted that stuff out. And if I did eat things that were off, not necessarily nutrient rich per se, I ate little bits of them, a bite or two. You follow? It's like the ratios of it. And I just want to make sure you sense that. Because the old me would have been like, bring on the stuff that tastes great. And I would have shoveled it in and owned it. And boy, my body showed it. But now it's just bring in the greens, bring in the goods. And I'll have some of these little snacks too. Just baby bites. Got it? Cool. I hope this helps. Really important for me to give you those critical little needle movers. Next up is exercise. Have you been getting sweaty 3 to 5 times a week? Typically in high performance, we do the 2x2s. 2 times a week, 60 minutes of moderate cardio and maybe some weights, that kind of stuff. And then 2 times a week, 20 minutes of HIIT, high intensity training. So where's that showing up for you? Have you been diving into that? Does that need a little bit of work? And so for me, that does need some work. I was doing a ton of walking in Vegas, but let me tell you, I wasn't hitting the weights and I wasn't running. We literally did 18,000, 20,000 steps, 19,000 steps. It's like, 7, 8 miles, 10 miles, and really owning all that. But yeah, need to hit the weights. So when I got back in the swing of things, I was out running right away and doing the weights that's on the agenda for today and tomorrow. So really getting those things back online, but I know what those things are. And I have to say, it's like subconscious for me to do them. I'm not like, oh, I got to go work out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to work out. I don't know if you get the shift there. It isn't like, oh, I need to bring that into my routine. No, it is my routine. I just need to bring it back online because I was out of town. Follow? There's a distinction there, and I hope you're getting it. Next, taking breaks. Here's what we know. To feel the vibrance of life, we need to step out of what we're doing every so often and take a break and enjoy our time together. And to think about, okay, what did we just get done? And is that part of our life's work? Got that? And what are we going to go after? And are we going to own that? Does that make sense? So for me, taking breaks, even in Vegas, we were taking breaks, chilling. Just, okay, let's take a break for the walk. Let's take a break and enjoy. What else do we want to feel today? What else do we want to do today? How am I feeling? How's my body doing? Am I doing okay? Am I going after my life's work? It's just those little pockets of time throughout the day that really help us feel more connection in our day. And if anything, The thing I don't want you to feel is like a zombie in the Matrix. That's what I call it. When you get up, you do your stuff, and you're like, oh, there went another day. But you don't even really remember what happened. You knew you did your things, but you didn't have that connection or zest for life. The verve, those kind of feelings of like, yeah, I did my things, but I also felt connected to my day. And it's really, really important you take breaks. And maybe inside that break, you do what we call WMEI. You take a 2-minute walk. Either listen to music or meditate for maybe a minute or two. Then the E, you energize your body. Maybe move around. Just if you have a kettlebell, swing some kettlebells. It doesn't take but 5 of those before you're feeling it. Bringing energy into your being. And then I, you set intention. Okay, going into this next clip of time, here's the intention for how I want to feel, what I want to get done, and what I want to share with the world, or what I want to make sure that I accomplish. Can you sense how that shift may help your day? I hope so, because that's been a very critical shift for a lot of people I've had the honor of coaching. And it's just about taking these breaks. That's it. That's the simplicity of it. So if you're below an 8, what's going to shift for you? Next up, happiness. Overall, I like to measure happiness in 2 ways. There's a bazillion ways to measure happiness. 1, are you around people who generally uplift you? 2, are you learning, creating, and sharing in a continual basis? Because here's what the thought leaders of the world do. They learn new things, they create from what they've learned, and they share it with the world. And that share piece is the marketing, is the sales, is the sustenance of their business and their message. Learn new things, create, share. So a typical schedule for somebody who's owning that is maybe for 30 minutes every morning they read something or watch a YouTube video that's educational towards an endeavor or skill they want to build. Then they create from it, maybe an hour. They're creating a post, they're creating a program, they're creating a video, whatever that would be. And then they do the hard part for a lot of people, and that is putting it into the world. Oh, what are people going to think? They're sharing it. And then they get one comment that says, thank you so much, I needed to hear this right now. But the highest performers are learning, creating, sharing as a continuum. Learn, create, share, learn, create, share, learn, create, share. You follow? And that builds happiness and sustains it. Because here's what we know at the high performance level. People are helping others improve their lives or grow their businesses, or both. So it's about others in this context. Happiness is about helping others in life. You follow? So what is that rating for you? 0? Yeah, I don't have any of that. 10, crushing it. But I would challenge you to do, if you have it below an 8, is just think of one thing you can do to either be around people who uplift you or learn, create, share, and really just grab it. It could be as simple as just going on YouTube, watching a TED Talk, creating a post that says, hey, I got a lot out of this TED Talk. Here's what I believe. Here's what I want to feel. Here's what I want to share with you. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did in posting it. That's a simple little example for you. Cool? Love that. Can you imagine if the world was doing that more often than sharing like some of the stuff that's being shared? It'd be a whole different scene. Next, finances. How are you doing your finances? Are you living within your means? Are you putting 10, 20% away consistently every paycheck? Are you living within your means, meaning that you're paying your expenses and you're putting stuff away, but you also have a layer of money for fun? How are you doing there? Boy, it took me forever to get here, but I've been here for quite a while. And so if you need any help there with what's showing up for you, if you want to sit down and go over things, be happy to do that with you. Be very happy to do that with you. Part of our Q&A we can do it in. We can even do it in a Zoom check-in call. Whatever it is for you, making sure you're dialing that in, because it's just subtle shifts, behavioral changes that can make major impact over time. That's the beauty of the way income flow and cash flow and expenses work. Cool? Presence. How present have you been in the last week? 0? Not at all. 10, owning it. Me, I watched myself in Vegas get in my head a few times, and I really had to course correct that. I was just getting into what I call my old school me, my old me, where I was just too much about me and not enough about others. And I really had to course correct, especially being with my closest family. Follow? But I did course correct. I did recognize I have a high level of awareness there. You follow? I love this stuff. So if it's below an 8 for you, what is it you can do in the next week to level that up just a little bit? Anything there for you? What is that? To be just a little more present, a little more emotively connected, less distracted with those around you. The number one thing that comes up here is people have to put away their digital devices. They just got to, when we're in dinner or at lunch with somebody, it's, I want to go and look at my phone because there's dopamine hits to be had. There's having it, I want to just see it. But it's just park it. Keep it off the table, in your pocket, your purse, whatever that is, and just have great conversation, ask great questions. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. Next up, purpose. How purposeful have you felt in the last week? And for me, I'm living it. Boy, I'm ultra clear on what my purpose is. And I'm on it. Being with my family before, maybe 10, 20 years ago, being with my family, I'm with my family. Now it's like, no, this is everything because life can shift tomorrow. And I want to make sure I'm living full here. Okay, when I get back, I need to keep my rest so I can be here with you, owning this conversation, really crushing our time together. Just going after it, being purposeful. And I hope you sense it today. I hope you feel, as we go through this, that you're like, ooh, these are some things I needed to be either reminded of or needed to hear for the first time. But I really need to check in and assess how I'm doing. And of course, the daily plan. This part, the reason I put this last is because it builds on everything here. The daily plan. How well are we structuring our day and living into it to really own being our best self? The daily plan would include each of these. In my plan, do I have all the things that we've covered in it? And of course, for me, it's not a 10, but it is a 9. There's a couple things I want to shift as I go into second quarter here to really own, just bumping this a little bit. For one, I want to make sure that I'm staying out of my office more and outside, like out of my office. I want to stay out of my office and be outside more. I'm like, man, I feel like life's passing me by and I'm not outside as much as I want to be. Walking, running, even working outside, like on my laptop, going after it. So it's really, really critical for that piece. So I hope out of all this work, something showed up for you that you can make a shift with. My challenge for you is not to maybe go after all the things that if you had like 0s through 3s or whatever, just pick the one that would make the biggest impact. And I can tell you what it was for me was sleep. Once I got sleep dialed in, all these other things came up because sleep was the keystone habit that opened the gate for more willpower, more clarity, more energy, and just more awareness towards these other things. You follow? I love that. Our second step, of course, is training. So let's jump into our training today. Let's see what we got here for time. Sweet. Right on time. Loving this. Owning this conversation with you. So spend 20 minutes or so here. We'll go over some tactics and rock it out and assure you get this. So before we step into the training aspect, here's what I know. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in a team at work, whether you're leading in any way, or just want to be better for your family. This is critical conversation for assuring that people don't feel told what to do per se. They don't feel like, they always want me to do this. I don't want to do this. But that they feel included in the process. You follow? And that's the sort of overarch of people support what they create, is that everything that we do has an opportunity with others, has an opportunity to be a co-creative experience. And it gives so much more meaning, zest, connectivity when people, even kids with parents, feel like they're part of the process. So great questions are a key part of this, and you'll see it show up in our framework today, is asking great questions with the right level of energy and enthusiasm, right? The physiology is connected. It's aligned with how we're asking the questions. It's not like, all right, I want to be more co-creative. What do you guys want to do today? What would be important for you to get done today? You feel the energy and enthusiasm's off? The other side to that is this. Hey, guys, today I want to be the very best day possible. Let's say we're talking to kids, right? Our kids. I want to have the best experience we can have today. So I'd love to know, what would that mean for you? How would you feel? Oh, Dad, you know what? We went and played putt-putt. And then we went to that favorite place we go, Norman Love. We got some delicious gelato or ice cream sandwiches, maybe a little chocolate. And then we took a walk. Oh, and my youngest would be like, Dad, we play some tennis? That would be great. Okay, cool. You see how that conversation and the energy is in alignment with that? The enthusiasm, the physiology is in alignment with the question? So right out of the gate here, I just want to challenge you. How well are you doing at that? Getting your energy and enthusiasm connected to asking great questions from a place of co-creation, from a place of better life experience. Oh, just talking about this gives me chills because I know what it's done for people that I've had the honor of serving and coaching. You know, that's the critical difference. That's the critical step. And then making it a common practice, a common behavior for you, where everything, no matter what context of life you're in, even just talking self-talk, that you're asking the right questions of yourself, that you're going after great life experience. Oh, this is gold, isn't it? So let's jump into the training and see how to flesh this out for you. So the premise here is, remember, people support what they create. I also want you to remember, if you haven't done the training or been in our coaching, that there is this model of struggle to ambition and the steps to get to the ambition. So let me kind of frame this for you real quick if you haven't heard this before. First and foremost, a lot of people live in the world of blame, excuse, denial. So picture a pool and a bunch of people in the blame, excuse, denial pool. Now picture a hill, and up the hill there's another pool, and that's a pool of ambition. Most of the world, is the way I see it and what I've heard, they're living in the blame, excuse, denial, gossip, negative, neutral pool. And especially if you follow politics, these kind of things. If you're tracking the news, those kind of things. It sort of facilitates that. But the highest performers are like, you know what? I dip my toe in this pool, I'm not swimming in it. And I walk up the hill and I swim in the ambition pool. What is the ambition pool? It's the ambition of what's possible. They're going after their dreams. They're not paying so much attention to the news. But they're paying a lot of attention how they can show up in the world and live a vibrant, loving, healthy life. Follow the difference? So what this represents here is what we teach in high performance is called the persuasion formula, is that there's struggles that we all have, challenges, frustrations, and then there's ambitions. Struggles are like, hey, you know what? What's showing up for you in life? What are you frustrated with? What are you challenged with? But we don't stay in that conversation. We don't swim in that pool too long. We go to the ambition pool. Okay, so what does the world look like if you get that sorted out and you're going after it and you have no regrets? How does that feel? What does that look like? And then if we happen to be a coach or somebody that can facilitate change, we offer the path, that's the green line right here, to take them to the ambition pool. To grab their hand, come out of that water, let's go. We're going to go swimming up here, and it's much better. Crystal clear blue, not mucky brown. We're going after the ambition. You follow? I hope this is all connected for you. This is really critical to people's support what they create. So when you come from a place of ambition, the questions are different. What did you see in the news today? The questions are, hey, what you going after? What's your dream? What's your ambition? What's that look like for you? What do you need help with to get there? And that's a big part of our conversation we'll have today in Business Internet Mastery Training, of how we can figure out exactly what we're going to sell. We just ask. We'll be talking deep diving on that shortly. But I just want to make sure we paint the frame for you. Cool? So stop for a moment. This is participation time. What pool are you swimming in? And it may be different for different roles of your life. Are you primarily in the struggle pool, or are you swimming in the ambition pool? And are you facilitating with the people you're with more ambitious type conversation? More, let's go after these. Let's build out our dreams, our hopes, our ambitions. What is it? Tough questions on this beautiful day, isn't it? All right, let's build into the framework. Who do you need to be to speak from, to live from an ambitious place? And I hope you sense how a lot of the work we did in our perspective keeping plays a role here. Because I know what I need to be. I need to be well slept. I need to be hydrating. I need to be energized. I need to take my breaks. I need to feel the happiness. I need to be around people who uplift me. I need to feel purposeful. I need to have that bigger perspective in the life assessment dialed in. You know, be my best self. Dial in my relationships. Make sure I have relationships with the right people. You see how this all interconnects? I hope you're sensing it. Really, really critical we get that. Here's what we also know. We have to be open and extremely communicative. What's the number one thing in any relationship that facilitates growth or can facilitate growth? Sometimes it doesn't. It's communication, trust, openness, vulnerability. But the best relationships, especially the people that have been interviewed for 40 years of marriage or longer, they've had a high level of respect and they've focused, not always, but more often than not, on ambition and hope together. And they've had common interests, sometimes very little common interests, but the common interests they had, they do together and they make it a thing, an event. But they're open and communicative all the way along. Yeah? So when we're talking from a people sport where they create place, this is a critical ingredient to that dialogue. It's like a great example is when I'm sitting down and I'm, let's say, Continental, down in Naples at the bar, and somebody comes up, sits next to me. Sometimes I'm just in my own head, right? Just chilling. I need my reset, rejuvenation time. But even then I'll ask, hey, so what are you excited about today? Hey, so do you live down here? And still being open communicative, but bring in the right energy that's aligned with it. Because I care about the human spirit and I care about others. And I'm a high-level empath, I've discovered. So I can sense how people are feeling just by their body language and just their vibe. And I didn't realize all people could do that. I was like, oh, yeah, I thought we all did. Nope. Turns out we all don't. Third, always ask great questions. I want to spend a little bit of time here because I kind of framed for that as we started. When you think about people sport they create and really creating a co-creative experience, our energy's in alignment, our enthusiasm in alignment, but we're asking really, really good questions. So for example, if somebody's throwing a lot of negative struggle pool language at me, I'll be like, so what are you doing to course correct? What are you doing to remedy? And I can tell you a lot of people that I've talked with, they're like, oh, I'm just going to be living it. You can just sense they just want to live in that. And then I'll kind of come down a little bold. I always call it positively stern and say, do you want to always come from that place? Is this how you want your life to look? Kind of joking, kind of cajoling, but there's a real clear point to that question. Because I know for me, I used to be that guy. And boy, life had a shade of darkness to it that I wasn't comfortable with. And I wanted to live from a shade of brightness, of vibrance. I had to pivot the way I was thinking about things. I had to pivot what I was watching. And sometimes I'll reflect on what I've trained you on, the info identity loop. So if you have your notes out, take and make an infinity symbol. And in the left part of the left loop of the infinity symbol, I guess that'd be over here for you, put the word info. And in the right part of the infinity symbol, that loop, put the word identity. And your info, the info coming in from the world, is informing your identity, and your identity is informing the info coming out of you. You follow? So once I got that sort of visual, I was like, whoa, I got to stop reading this because that's making me feel this. And I got to be this guy so that I can put this in the world. Just like when we're talking right now. You follow? So again, that's the info identity loop, just an infinity symbol in one loop, the word info, the other loop, the word identity. And we got to ask, is this information, is this movie I'm watching, is this documentary I'm watching, is this the info that I need to inform my identity? And is the identity that I have putting out good info? Or is it putting out negative, neutral info? And what do I have to change here to really enhance this, or vice versa? So take a moment and think about that. Is there any info that you're putting in, any movies you're watching, any news you're paying attention to, anything you're reading that's informing your identity in negative or neutral ways? And if there is, what do you have to do to pivot that? What do you got to do to shift that? What should you be reading instead, or what should you be doing instead? Some people, instead of going to the news, getting their newspaper in the morning, they meditate and have coffee. And they just do mantra-based meditation. One of the ones we love in high performance is release meditation. Release, release, release. And it clears the mind in amazing ways, even if you do it for a few minutes. You follow the difference here. Just want to make sure you're getting it. Really, really critical. So they're always asking great questions. And what qualifies as a great question? It's a question of ambition. It's a question of growth. It's a question of possibility, of hope. Not a question like, why do you think your parents are being like that with you? What are you gonna do to them? How are you gonna get revenge? Not great questions. You follow the difference? I hope so. I hope this is helping you. Really, really critical as we think this through. Asking how you or they want to feel. So if you're talking with yourself, self-talk, you're constantly asking, how do I want to feel about this day? How do I want to feel about this next part of my life? This next time block, this next half day? How do I want to feel by the time today ends? What am I doing now to support the energy there? But when you forward this conversation to people support what they create, this is a very critical, in all facets of life, very critical component. With our kids, with our team, with our customers. Hey, you know what? I'd love to know as we go through this journey together, how do you want to feel as we're going through the journey? And how do you want to feel once we're done? What are the outputs, the goals, the ambitions that you want more clarity on? And what would make you feel the best if we own this conversation together? Big part of the way I do coaching. Big part of the way I do vision, strategy, and planning with businesses. What are the goals, outputs, dreams you have that we want to go after? Let's try to boil it in the big three, and then we'll break them down. How do you want to feel about those? How do you want to feel about your business? You follow the difference here? This is very co-creative language. Okay, what are we doing together to get there? What do you see us doing? What do you sense you're going to do? Big shifts here. Anything there for you with what I just shared? Love this. Could talk about this for hours, but realize we only have a few minutes, so let's just crush that. So, are you asking? Asking, open, communicative. Are you asking how they want to feel? What would feel the best for you in our relationship? Maybe it's a business relationship. What would feel the best for you if I did coach you? And sometimes it's a pricing conversation. I do need what you have. I don't think I can afford you. Well, what would you feel comfortable paying for this? Let's start there. Let's see if we can make that work. That has opened the door for so much business for me and others because we completely busted through the pricing objection, which is, wow, you're charging $1,500 for that and I can only afford $700? Okay, well, let's talk about that. How can we make that work? Can we do a payment plan? Maybe spread that cost of $1,500 out over a few months? Would that help you from a cash flow perspective? Can we negotiate the price a little bit? I don't know if that can work for you, depending on how you are in terms of what you're offering, but that's worked great for me. Depending on how much I know we need to do, or how much I know I can serve the person or company. Maybe we can do a trial of $1,500 a month for 2 months, or excuse me, $1,000 a month for 2 months, and then we'll reevaluate. See how well we're doing towards how you want to feel, the goals, dreams, ambitions you're going after. Because I can tell you what, and I say this in full heart, you're not going to believe the way we show up to handle your work. Because it's not just about the tactics for us, it's about going after, making sure you're going after your dreams. Making sure we're really helping you in life. This is for my internet marketing work. It's a totally different realm. We don't have competitors in that space. And you could say we do have competitors. I don't believe we have competitors because we show up with full energy towards their future as individuals, not just as a company. You follow? This is gold. I hope you're sensing it. This is where the meat, the just shift in this is. And when you dial this in for you, watch out world. Because they're like, you are no longer a commodity. Not a business coach, not a life coach. No, you are an individual serving with unique and valuable ways, going after ambitions for them, for their future. And you've openly communicated by asking great questions. If we get this right in your business, what are you going to be able to do in life that you wouldn't have been able to do before? Because you've got extra income, or because we're able to help delegate some of the work that's holding you back from living your full life. You follow the difference here? It's getting chills just telling you this, because this stuff is the magic. And when you bring the right level of energy and enthusiasm reframed into this, watch out world. Massive difference. Next, always listening. 2 times listen to talk ratio. What does that mean? So often the old me would have gone into a meeting and been sort of in command of the ship. Hey, this is what we're going to cover. This is what I need from you. And now, in the last, since 2012, the last 9 years, I go into meetings because of the work we teach in high performance, specifically in persuasion mastery. And I listen and I ask questions to extract their struggle. And then we pivot invariably at some point towards what's possible. Because a lot of people, as you probably know, and you may be one of them, struggle with their online presence, right? And they're just trying to figure it out. Like, I've heard this, I think this is this, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no. Let's go through and just get real with what that is and help educate them. But let's get it all out there. And usually I do that from the whiteboard. I'll be writing down what they say. Or I'll do it on a computer and they'll see the screen. And we'll work on that together. And then we invariably pivot to what's possible. Okay, here's the reasons why these things haven't been working for you, because I'll bring in that level of expertise. Here's the things that we want to go after. Is this true? And what do you want to feel? And how will your life be different once these things are in play? Oh, I'll feel much more comfortable in my life because I'll know things are done right. And I'm starting to show up. I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting leads. I'm getting sales from the work you're doing. Okay, cool. So I'll make sure we got that. You see how that was very supportive of co-creative language? It wasn't me pushing on them. It was me just on this journey of openness with them. Very critical towards growing any business is what I just shared. And I'm heavy on the business side because this is framing for what we're going to talk about in our business internet mastery training. But I want to make sure we dial that all in for you. You follow? This is good. Before you share, assure they have. This was a critical step for me as I was going through my work in high performance and just owning people support what they create language. And this is taught also in Leaders Eat Last. And I put the book up here from Simon Sinek, the guy who wrote Start With Why. Is the best leaders have everybody emit and share in a room before they bring up their opinion, their growth. They'll facilitate the conversation. They'll make sure they stay on track. But they don't share their directives until they've heard the rest. And they incorporate those into theirs. So let me give you an illustration. So when you say to people, hey guys, we're really trying to go after this endeavor in business. And I'd love, instead of saying, and here's how I think we should do it, you say, I'd love to hear from each of you about how you think we should approach this. I'll be writing on the whiteboard what you share. And at the very end, I'll share what I believe. That's the pivot. That's the shift. So how are you doing there? Even with kids, even with friends, any leadership position. If you're at church, in organizations, in B&Is, networking groups, how are you doing at facilitating? Before you share, assure they have. Hey guys, I know that the goal of our group, the goal of our mission is to do this. And I think I have a few ways I think we can do this, but before I share, would love to hear from you. So let's go around the room. Anybody want to share? Put your hand up if you do. And I want to hear from you, and then I'll share what I think. You feel the pivot? But that's people support they create. It's a true co-creation. Really critical. I hope you're sensing. If you're in a conversation with somebody who may want to buy from you, very, very powerful. Hey, how do you feel this is going to work? In your world, what would be the best way for us to serve, support, and take care of you? What they're sharing when they tell you that is your recipe list for your deliverables. It's gold. Oh, we're going to go in more depth and detail on this in our Business Internet Monthly Training. Cannot wait for that. Rocking it. And next, let me make sure here. All right, control. Ah, yes. Control for openness, not for result. Boy, was this pivotal. My relationship with my girl's mom, my ex-wife, was very much a result-based conversation, especially on my end. Here's what I want. Here's what we're going to do. Blah, blah, blah. And I never even considered, maybe it was a sparkle once, that I would control for openness versus control for result. And boy, when I got in high performance, that was like a smack in the face. It was like, dummy, why weren't you doing this all along? So what does it actually mean? When you control for openness, it's like, let me just give you an illustration that's really, really powerful that's worked for me incredibly well. Anytime money conversation was brought up with my ex-wife, it was very much mostly a emotionally draining negative experience. And now, if I have to talk about it, which we don't really have to talk about that much anymore because we've set new precedent for how that's handled, I say this. Hey, you know what? I got a few things we got to talk about related to money and finances. Is now a good time? And in my brain, I'm thinking, you know what? Now's probably not going to be a good time. That's cool. Previously, when I was controlling for result, I'd be like, hey, we got to talk this through. We got to talk it through. And I didn't say it, but it was implied. We got to talk it through now. No matter what the mood was. And boy, did that usually go on a negative neutral path. So the sensation is you're controlling for openness. We're going for openness for the long term. You follow? You feel the difference? So what the languaging is, it comes back up through a lot of the stuff that we've talked about here, is just sensing that I'm just moving this conversation along and it's not about the result that I want. I just want to be open about it. We'll get the result over time, but being more patient, more open towards that result. You follow? Big difference. So with teams, it works out great too. With customers, hey, you know what? We're going to work towards that result. But right now, what is it that you need from us to really assure we're taking care of you? Versus the old me would be like, hey, we're working on this. What did you need? You feel the difference? It's definitely a different conversation, but it lends itself to people support what they create. Take a moment with that one. Think about what we've just shared. Where in your life have you been controlling for result, and has it been harming progress? And I'll tell you, when the people that I coach, a lot of times it's with their significant other. I want to do this today. Versus, hey, you know what do you think about going after this? What would you love to do today? Asking great questions. By the end of today, if today went really well, what would we have done together? What would you have done on your own? Do you want a pocket of time where you do your thing, even though this is a weekend, where you go out and do your stuff and I go and do mine? That energy, that deliverable. Difference, isn't it? Whew. And it comes down to saying, this isn't always true, but I love this saying, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And when I see relationship issues, I sense that when people want to be right, they're controlling for a result. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, you have to, depending on the context of a situation. But more often than not, you can control for openness and have more happiness. Do you follow? So when we say, do you want to be happy, do you want to be right? A lot of people are what we call right fighters. And they will fight for right, just no matter how negative or neutral the conversation gets or who they are energetically. I hope you know what I mean. Like, they're just an angry, mad person when you don't do what they want. Like, just not good, right? So our job is to understand control for openness, not for result. And say, you know what, there are times where we have to be right. Maybe we have to go after what needs to be done, and we have to control for that result. But in communication, in best practices of communication, the facilitators that really move things forward from a co-creative space are controlling for openness. And they're coming back up to here, open and extremely communicative. They're really clear about who they need to be. They're, asking how people want to feel along the way and being clear about that directive. It's not like they hear the person say, I want to feel this way. And they're like, oh, that's good. Well, here's what we're going to do. It's like, okay, so you want to feel that way. What do we need to do to make that happen? And that's very much an openness conversation. You can sense it with people. And I'll say this, kind of one more illustration for you. When you say to somebody, hey, how do you want to feel about this? And you're enthused and excited about what they say versus, hey, how do you want to feel about this? Yeah, okay, that's good, but here's what we're going after. Anytime you hear the word but, it usually erases the words in front of it. Does that make sense? So what we have to be really clear about is being in alignment with the energy and being open about it as well. So I hope this has helped facilitate who you want to be, what you want to do to have a more co-creative life. People support what they create. You're going to find people will do kind of what you want them to do, or you'll co-creatively work together to create what's going to be done, and people will be on board with it when you own these things. So now we're going to switch to tactics. The last part, I'm going to wrap this baby up, and I hope this has helped you so incredibly much. I know this. If I played this back to myself 25 years ago, from a future me playing it for the old me, I would have been like, oh, I got a lot of work to do. So let me give you some tactics. First and foremost, journal, think through each element, rate yourself in each. So every one of these 7 points, Am I clear about who I need to be? How well have I been living into who I need to be? 0 to 10. Open, extremely communicative. Am I clear about being open, extremely communicative? What does it mean for me to be that? And how well have I been living into that 0 to 10? Am I asking great questions? Are they towards the ambition? Or are they facilitating more of the struggle? And sometimes you have to facilitate more of the struggle to get to the ambition. That's cool. Like, why are you challenged with that? What's frustrating you about that? But at some point, we invariably pivot to the ambition. Are you always listening twice as much as you talk? 0 to 10. Be honest. Before you share, are you assuring they have? So when you journal through this and you think about, what am I going to do to shift? How am I going to open a conversation? I like to use sentence starters. What's my 3 to 5 words that I'll say, that I'll rely on my intuition, my being, to fill in the rest, that will help with this? So often you'll hear a trigger in your mind be like, oh, I need to share this with them. And instead, you're like, you know what? I'll park that. So tell me more about that. Why is it important for you? 2, ... You follow the pivot with those sentence starters. I hope you're sensing it. If you need more practice, let me know. We'll do that in a check-in call. Before you share, sure they have. Control for openness, not for result. What does that actually mean? I hope we've given you enough illustration there to really own that. How well have you been doing that, 0 to 10? Boy, is that a gate opener for conversation with yourself, with your loved ones, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, with your people that are going to buy from you, your customers, your team, the world, right? All these things come from that. So 2 books to read if you really want to get a deeper dive on this. Leaders Eat Last and The Student Leadership Guide. So Leaders Eat Last is by Simon Sinek and The Student Leadership Guide is by Brendan. It was his first book. It was his master's thesis in communication. And it became this guide that was shared. It's got some really great framework in it. I think the 6 E's and vision and so on. And then finally, how can I learn? I want you to think about and journal this. How can I learn to be okay with the answers no matter what they are? Journal and think through. Here's the pivotal shift that so many people, especially the younger people that I coach, get hung up on. But the older people have seemed to sort it out. And it's not always the case, but it has been the case for a lot of the things that I've done. How can I be okay with whatever the answer is that's thrown at me, no matter what it is, and just come back at it from an ambitious perspective? Let me give you a little bit of framing. For me to be that, I have to be a high-level thinker. I got to be up here and what I call the universal thinking. And what I mean by that is I realize that whatever answer comes here, even if it's not what I want, is such a small, pivotal, small little thing in the bigger picture of life that I'm good with it. It may not be what I want to hear, and sometimes it's absolutely not what I want to hear. But you know what? Cool. All right, that's the reality of it. Are you sure? Cool. Okay. We'll have to deal with what the answer is. But I have a practice in play to assure that I own that from an energetic place, from a realization this is just one small thing. So often the contrast to that is we let small things be huge and we fight for them. And boy, does that cause issue. And boy, does that shut down people's power they create. Because you could say if something's thrown at you that's negative or neutral, that isn't what you wanted to hear, are you sure about that? Because that's not really what I wanted to hear. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. And you feel the difference in the energy there? Oh, and it's so hard to do in real time. But I want to make sure we delivered for you there. So how did we do today? Please take a moment, participate, comment. Let me know how we did today on this training. And again, Adult Learning Theory says we got to recap what we've talked through. We painted the frame with our perspective keeping. Why is any of this important? The life assessment, the tactics of the wheel of perspective, all help us dial in the very best version of ourselves, keep our pulse on the right info for our identity, as we go back to that model. Then we step through people's power they create and really working through illustrations, 7 critical areas with that frame of the persuasion formula from high performance. And then we went through these to make sure that you have tactics that you can leave this training feeling it, owning it. You follow? That being said, thank you so much. You know I'm here for 5 critical points to help you feel and live more purposefully, more passionately, more positively, bring in the joy, more productively. Big part of today's topics, going after your life's ambitions and bringing people along for the ride, but co-creating with them along the way. And of course, more profitably. Thank you so much. I'll see you super soon. Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so incredibly much for being here with me. So excited to go over this. Just got back from an amazing trip with my family in Las Vegas. One of my dad's favorite places to be, one of my stepdad's favorite places to be, and the ladies like to go too. So we had a great time. Here's what I know. Life is short. Enjoy every moment. Got a lot of health issues going on with some of my family, and I trying to make sure that I sort of reposition myself, reprioritize